Stop right there!
Welcome to Nerds Night Out.
Jesus Christ, look at the size of your hand. It's gargantuan.
Did you see that?
This episode is not about Sasquatch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Nerds Night Out, direct from the Nerds Night Out headquarters, located deep within Hollow Earth. I'm Tom.
And I'm Q.
And we're here to nerd you out. That's not a thing, but I just made it up. Trademark that.
I feel like I've heard that before somewhere.
Nope, just made it up.
In the 80s, maybe? New York City at night?
Nope, just made that kind of like whole thing up. No one's ever done it before.
I was talking to my son earlier today.
Yes.
And he came up with a good point.
And that is?
He told me that the original Oreo is better than double stuffed. And he backed it up immediately before I could say anything and said, because making your own double stuffed is superior to making is superior to just
their
eating
version of
a double stuff itself. Because before all the haters out there start getting all angry, because while you're making your own double stuffed, which has a little bit more of that filling, by the way, when you make your own, while you're making it, you get to eat a nice little snack of the empty size.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I think I can't recall if it was me who did this or my brother who did this, but we were the kind of people who would take an Oreo and clear out the insides and just put the Oreo cookie itself back, or
So whoever came after you and your brothers
really
just got a bunch of brown cookies with no filling.
No joke, for years.
That is so mean to do to your mom and dad.
when we were dating, I used to.
You were dating your brothers?
No.
Oh, you and your brothers were dating, but other people.
Hold on, didn't finish the thought before you. When I was dating the blessed woman who is now my wife, I used to accuse her of licking the Doritos and putting them back in the bag. And and I'd be like, I know, I saw you do it
because they're wet.
No, there was nothing about it. I guess the youngsters today would call it gaslighting. But I'm like, no, I saw you lick that and put it back. But I was actually never, despite my type 2 diabetic phase here, I was not a fan of Oreo cookies at all. I was a fan. My favorite snack growing up was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Hostess pies. I know it's very particular, but to this day, I've even looked up like recipes on how to recreate it. But I know
the apple pie, the pie filling.
It was a vanilla. Yes, kind of like that, but it was vanilla pudding in the inside. And again, no surprise, diabetic. But I absolutely love those. My favorite time, I would eat those. And I would get, I don't know if you remember, Snapple. I don't know if it was when it first started or not, but at least my awareness of Snapple started with Snapple Clear Root Beer. And it came in a glass bottle.
I do remember that.
Oh, my God. Those are my two favorite things. That, the Ninja Turtle pie, which, no joke, to get my hands on right now would kill you. I would kill you. That's how meaningless. No, I would love to get my hands on it. Fresh from the sewer. That was the tagline. Fresh from the sewer.
Now, if you found one today, would you actually dare to eat it?
Oh my God. Yes. I'd like, if I died that way, at least I died doing what I love, eating 30-year-old snacks I found.
If you look hard enough on eBay or something, you can, if you've got the wallet for it,
right,
you might be able to find it.
I actually was tempted to buy just the wrapper. I had that online. I was tempted to buy just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pie wrapper.
What was it going for?
Oh, it wasn't much, but it was too much for a wrapper. It was like $20-something. It was too much for a wrapper.
What would you do with it? Frame it?
Oh, no, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, framing my childhood. That's I as you could tell, if anyone's looking behind me, or if you're listening, tons of like Hot Wheels and Superman stuff behind me. I definitely buy into the nostalgia thing.
Well, did you do anything special to your ecto cooler pie
Oh,
type
no.
thing?
I did like Ecto Cooler. The high C. Swear to goodness. I know. Just recently they released some kind of like Ghostbusters energy drink, sugar free. And I bought it and it was I was
Is
walking
it also grapefruit flavored?
it it's green, nothing green. Maybe I have a green thing. Maybe I like things that are green. I don't know. Between the turtle pie and this, I just realized it's like therapy. It's all coming out. But
You a fan of Kermit?
I am a fan of who isn't a fan of Kermit? I guess people who fear puppets.
I think Gonzo.
Aha. Oh wait, that's got no.
That was
That's not
Fozzie.
That was Fozzie. I'm sorry, but
Not a bad Fozzie, by the way.
thank you. I've been working on it every day in the mirror for 5 hours a day.
Well, another candy that I manipulate in order to make better is whenever I have my hands on a Twick,
Oh.
I bite off just the caramel and
All
I
right,
save the
wait,
cookie
wait,
for
wait.
last.
What'd you say?
Whenever I get my hand on a Twick,
A Twick? Oh Lord.
Well,
I-
but you know,
is that singular?
I buy a package of Twix.
Yeah.
but I only eat one at a time.
Isn't? Is there a singular version of Twix that I'm not aware of?
Yeah,
Twick?
just one.
Is that a thing? Is that something that I'm not aware of? Like, is that like a published? I don't know who
Clearly, you're
makes
not
them.
aware of it.
No,
you
I'm
see,
not
it's,
aware.
it's a delicious cookie slash. The argument could be: is it a cookie or is it a candy bar, ladies and gentlemen? We really,
Yeah.
it's up for debate.
I mean, how much?
I don't
can
know what's up for debate. The fact that it's called a Twick is not up for debate.
It's not.
But we can argue whether
called
it's
a
a cookie or a candy bar.
Where does it identify? Does it identify itself as a Twix somewhere in the label? Say like enjoy.
No, because you buy two at a time.
But on the commercial it says left Twix. Like if it's referring to left in the singular, left Twix. Like there's left Twix and the right Twix.
Yeah, well, that's a package of two lefts and a package of two rights.
Oh, is that really what they're doing?
Yeah.
You know what I learned the other day? I didn't know that cannoli, which makes a lot of sense. Cannoli is plural. Like you can't have cannolis because you're
Cannoli.
Cannolo, I believe, or canola. I can't remember if it's masculine or feminine.
Canola, like the oil.
Maybe that's why they don't do that. Maybe they don't want to get confused. But cannoli is plural. So if you're saying cannolis, that's grammatically incorrect.
It's also incorrect to ask for a cannoli.
Correct. You would have to ask for a canola. Oh, I don't know. One of the others. I can't recall if it was O or A. I don't think anyone in Italy listens to this, but Poland and Peru, shout out to you guys. But if you are listening to this in Italy and you know for sure whether it's canolo or canola,
hit us up at Nerds Night Out at Nerds Night Out Podcast at gmail.com.
That's right. That's how you can reach us.
And if you have any episode ideas that you would like to hear us talk about, hit us up at Nerds Night Out Podcast at gmail.com.
We are fan friendly. We love it. We love hearing from you guys. Well, we love to hear from you guys. I guess I would have to say we'd love to hear from you guys because I'm not sure it's happened yet. Have we heard from anyone yet?
Yeah, we get a little bit of feedback.
Just pure hate mail, or
it's a lot of criticism. I wouldn't call it hate mail. But
hate
yeah,
mail.
it's a little bit of critiques.
Yeah,
which is fine. I'm open to some constructive criticism.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of constructive criticism,
okay,
today's episode is about the Straw Hat Riot.
I'm not sure your transitions. The transitions are.
I'm learning. I'm learning. This is our what, fourth episode?
It's possible. Yes.
I don't think I'm gonna get my groove until maybe the 72nd.
72nd.
3 after 69.
I'm calling it. That's very particular. Very particular.
That's right.
And childish at the same time. I like it. I like it a lot. So what are we talking about?
We're talking about the Straw Hat Riots.
Oh, I love me the 1920s.
In Manhattan. Manhattan.
The island
New
of
York.
Manhattan.
I'm making it a pun. Manhattan.
Oh, because you had to.
Because we're talking about the Straw Hat Riots.
It only took me 3 times to get it.
It's always funny the third time.
It is.
When I'm explaining it.
I do believe in a joke's rule of 3. Like if you have to say, or even if you get a laugh out of it 3 times and then you retire the joke, bring it back another time, but don't exhaust it. That's a lesson for all you kiddies out there.
The Straw Hat Riot of 1922 is a day that has gone down in hat lover infamy.
Oh,
but
gotta love the
only
hat lovers.
only hat loving infamy.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm pretty
right.
sure no one else out there has really heard of this.
I love hats.
Before we cover the riot itself, we need to discuss the cause of this chaos. The gentleman's boater hat, aka the skimmer or the basher, is a style of straw hat that we're discussing tonight. Think Orville Redenbacher or Barbershop Quartet.
Okay, sure. Okay, you had yeah, Orville Redenbacher. That's the popcorn
That's
guy.
the popcorn dude. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're young in Poland and young in Peru, that's Orville Redenbacher was he the real owner of the company? I have no idea. Was he like the Ronald McDonald of the company? I don't know. Was he really? I don't know anything about Orville Redenbacher, but he had the kind of barbershop quartet hat. And listen, it takes a good man. I was gonna say strange man, but it takes a good man to kind of pull off a hat like that. Good for you, Orville.
You could pull it off.
Oh, that's sweet.
Unlike other straw hat, the Panama hat, the fedora, the boater complements semi-formal attire. During a time when a man would only be seen outside without a hat, it meant he was in some kind of duress. The boater would be worn with a casual blazer or sometimes as formal as a bow tie. Now, we have to understand, back in these days, ladies and gentlemen, for a man to be outside without a hat, it meant he was in some kind of distress. Something was wrong.
You always wore a hat in public, variety of different hats, as you mentioned, but gentlemen were not seen in public without a hat. Do you know when that really kind of stopped in the United States, at least?
I would say the Great Depression.
It's a good guess. But even in the Great Depression, there was still this like motif of kind of carrying on as if we were not in the midst of the Great Depression. So business as usual, but really it was not until John F. Kennedy was sworn in as the United States president, and he did not wear a hat to his inauguration. And when he didn't wear a hat to inauguration, being the young, cool guy that he was, remember, he was only 42, which makes him the youngest president ever elected. When he didn't wear a hat, everybody else stopped wearing hats too.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
president was a trendsetter, huh?
Well, yeah, him and Jackie were considered.
Well, Jackie, yes.
Yeah, young and fashionable and trendsetters, really, in so many different ways, but in particular in fashion. Yeah, hats kind of were on the outs after that, but until that point, as you're mentioning, you don't go out in public without a hat back then.
The origin of this hat was part of the uniform of the 1800s French sailor. The style then made its way to England in the form of toddler's clothing.
Oh, yeah.
Dressing your kid up as an old-timey sailor isn't something your mom did only.
A lot, very
that's
popular.
been happening a long time, and I always felt bad for those little kids.
Have you ever seen a picture? You got to look up a picture of FDR as a child with his little golden locks, essentially wearing a dress. It was a different time back then, different time. And that was actually, this is the time too. This is the time, we're talking about the 1920s. This is the time where we see the shift, even in terms of like color schemes for boys and girls, because I forget the name of the magazine, probably a Cosmopolitan or Cosmo, whatever.
Or the equivalent of.
Yeah, something akin to that, right? In one of their magazines, they switched the colors and they put pink for girls and blue for boys. But up until that point, it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
Yeah.
Pink was seen as the masculine color.
Right. Just the idea. I'm not sure what the idea is behind it, but I know, like, especially with flashy colors throughout time, it essentially meant that you weren't like a laborer. You weren't working in the fields. You weren't getting dirty. You had these fancy colors, which were expensive. Even going back to colonial times, indigo was such a valuable commodity because you were dyeing your clothes blue, and
or at least a hard color to come by.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, definitely in nature, blue was a hard color to come by. So indigo was great.
That's why purple was the color of royalty.
Yeah, purple, right? Purple is another one. Right, purple, red. Those were all at some points colors of the wealthy and nobility.
So after dressing their kids up like French sailors, then the mothers had these hats as part of their own outfits. So they were kind of matching their kids. So to make this clear, the gentleman's boater hat was made popular by women dressing up as babies.
Yeah,
they're babies.
Yeah, it's kind of
it is weird.
Yeah, if you're going out, listen, if you got kids and you want to match them alike, cool, go for it. That's fun. That's cute to a certain age. But if you're dressing like your kid,
you're dressing your kid up like Donald Duck, and then to match, well, it's the equivalent today,
right?
And then you're gonna match your kids. Ridiculous. Imagine a mom going out wearing an engineer costume because her kid is wearing.
Right. So if they are, I mean, you said Donald Duck. I assume that you with Donald Duck with pants.
No
pants. No. Oh my God, these kids are
they're Porky Pigging it.
They're Porky Pigging it. Yeah, it's a little creepy to go out dressed like your own kid. I would imagine. It's unsettling. Like, that's not cute. No, don't do it.
Don't even dress the kid up like that.
Yeah, rethink your life. If that's what you're doing, rethink your life.
Then it became part of private school uniforms. The boater was the semi-formal headwear as opposed to the top hat, which was for more formal schools. Seriously, imagine having to wear a top hat to school. Like having to.
But not in school. I would imagine in school because the gentleman would take his hat
have
off.
To take it off.
Yeah. And of course, when meeting someone, you might want to take your hat off, tip of your hat. But this is just coming out of a time too where, for a very long time, one of the key ingredients in even making a hat, especially around the rims of the hat, the inside of it, was mercury.
What was that word?
Mercury. Mercury. It's my Brooklynese coming through. Mercury. How's that? Was that better?
So tell me something about hat makers working with mercury, Tom.
Well, I will tell you, but it would drive people insane.
No, but tell them anyway.
No, the hat would drive you insane. Literally wearing the hat, because mercury is a poison for us, so it would seep into their pores and mess with your mental stability. The guy who shot, I know this is going to sound very obscure, but the guy who shot John Wilkes Booth, his name was Boston Corbett, went insane. Well, by 1800 standards, if you didn't make your husband breakfast, if you didn't make him bacon,
she's hysterical.
Right, yeah.
Let's put her away.
I know. So you have to understand, it's a very liberal definition of insane. Oh, but in this case, Boston Corbett was insane, and one of the reasons we think he may have been so mentally unstable is because of the mercury in the hat. Think about
it wasn't the hat wearers that got Mad Hatter's disease.
Sometimes
it was hat makers.
Well,
do you know why?
Well, I would have guessed a massive exposure to mercury.
Mercury
taking shots
was used in the felt softening process.
Oh, good to know.
So only the hat maker would be the one exposed to the mercury, really.
Well, this is the Lewis Carroll character, the Mad Hatter, in Alice in Wonderland. That's the inspiration for
Never saw it.
I mean,
I'm kidding. I think everyone's seen it.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I've seen a movie. That's one of those things that I'm culturally aware of. Like, I've never read The Odyssey, for example, but I'm culturally aware of it. I've never read Alice in Wonderland, but I feel like I've seen pieces of things enough that I could kind of give you the gist of it.
Well, he's very talkative. He's upbeat. He's
the Mad Hatter.
Yes, the Mad Hatter. The stereotype for the person that has Mad Hatter's disease, based on Alice in Wonderland's depiction, is loud, boisterous, zany. That's not what mercury poison is. When you have too much mercury exposure, it's actually everything is the opposite. You're quiet. You keep your thoughts to yourself. You're depressed. It's actually very depressing to see.
Fun fact. You want to hear another one?
I love fun facts. It better be fun.
I don't know.
We're judging you.
Fun was a stretch. Lewis and Clark, their expedition, they went just an intolerable way. Like, they went a terrible way that no one has really ever followed since. But we do know where they were, because they and the people they were with, because of their misadventures, they got many diseases along the way, and they were taking mercury pills for treatment. So we know where they were because they peed the mercury out, and we could still track it in the soil where they were. Fun fact about mercury.
That is a fun fact. So, compared to wearing a top hat to school, this substitute became very popular. The kids would rather wear these boater hats than these big, tall, stuffy, hot,
Right, exactly.
hot.
I'm
top
picturing
hats.
these things can breathe.
Well, yes, they're
Yeah.
made of straw. They're very breathable. These top hats are made of felt, beaver skin, some kind of leather or wool. So they're very hot to wear. So I'm sure the kids would definitely like to dress down a little bit. This hat is to be worn atop the head, not snug around the head like a baseball cap.
Okay.
So it's a little bit higher. It doesn't go down to your ears. It goes up a little bit higher. And the ribbon often represented the school colors, or perhaps would be replaced with a black ribbon if you're in mourning, or the nation's in mourning, or if there's just the family is in mourning.
It's a versatile hat. And we still, I still see people, not, in ceremonial situations wearing hats like these.
Name 12.
No, I can only name one. And that's a local place.
And you still haven't.
Well, the Catholic Club.
Mm.
They right. These are the hats, the Mardi Gras hats.
Those are not.
They are.
No, they're straw,
No, I
but
mean,
they're
they
not
are.
boaters.
They are.
It's a straw hat, but it's not a boater.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea, but that's great. That's great if I insisted that I absolutely know what they are when I don't. I mean, let's yeah, they are.
The boater made its way to the U.S. and was regularly worn by rich and famous people. The hat has made its way into American mainstream when baseball players were seen wearing them on their days off. Ooh. The fans liked them hats so much they got their own.
Look at my new hat.
Well, seeing your favorite baseball player wearing anything is going to make it look pretty cool.
Look at Babe Ruth sitting over there, drunk and passed out in that cool hat.
Well, though the boater was worn by rich and famous people, it was relatively inexpensive compared to other hats that were made out of more expensive materials like felt, wool, silk, beaver. I said beaver.
Beaver was very popular. That was something.
It's still popular today.
Yeah, beaver skins.
So it was popular because it was cooler to wear during the summer months also, because the straw made it very breathable.
It did.
Woolworths sold boaters for as low as 10 cents each and would decorate it. It would be the customer that would go and get their own ribbon and decorate it on his own. Women would adorn these hats with birds, flowers, fruit, and other crazy shit.
Birds, like actual birds?
They used to stuff. They used to kill birds, stuff them, and women would wear these on their hats.
What kind of taxidermied bird would you like on your hat, madam? I'll take the little ones. Yeah, I mean,
they wouldn't get domestic birds either. No. Domestic, but the poorer women would adorn it with fake flowers,
pigeons,
and fruit from the grocery stores. Then you would work your way up to real flowers, and then you would work your way up to birds, and then you would work your way up to birds no one's ever seen before in your neighborhood.
Oh, it's
so
Agatha, look at that vulture on your head, Agatha. Ooh, aren't you fancy?
Well, a lot of explorers would come back with birds.
Yes.
And
bird bodies.
And they would be sold for a lot of money to women that wanted to show it off on their head.
Sweet jumping
for Sunday service.
This is why I don't get I never got fashion. As I'm sitting here in a sweatshirt, I don't get fashion. I even today, I mean, this would not be obscene today to see, like, on a runway, just someone walking down the runway with a giant dead animal on their head.
Lady Gaga wore meat.
Lady Gaga?
Gaga? Did I mispronounce her name?
No. I'm just saying it. I like to say Gaga.
Ms. Gaga?
Yes. I was only recently that I told my son that she gets her name from Radio Gaga from Queen.
I don't know that song. Is that a song?
Yeah, it's not their best, but it's like one of those. I probably recorded towards like their synth. Like when they started doing like.
I don't know Queen. I like real heavy metal.
Oh, well, you got Biohazard.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. NYHC, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, NYHC.
New York hardcore.
Oh, okay. Now, is that like Paul Westerberg? Paul Simon, maybe?
Evan Seinfeld?
Yeah.
Jerry Seinfeld's cousin or something like that.
Oh, is that true?
That is true.
Yeah. Richard Cheese?
The coolest thing about Jerry Seinfeld is his cousin.
That's obscene. You can't. Who's that? I've never even heard of the guy. I'm not.
No, Jerry Seinfeld is a very famous comedian.
No, the other guy.
The
cousin.
He married a girl as soon as she turned 18. Like he started like hanging out with her when she was like
controversial.
15.
It is amazing what even going back to the 1920s when you talk about like Babe Ruth, you talk about all these guys that became like hyper popular then. It is amazing what we overlook in terms of their like fallibility.
Do we? Did I? Do I?
That's a lot of questions. I'm not sure how to answer, but
no, I'm pretty sure he groomed. I think
who are we talking
about Jerry.
Oh, okay. I switched to Babe Ruth for a second. No. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, right. These guys are like the media is crazy with that stuff, but this is nothing new, right? Like these people have been at the weird game for a long, long time.
It's good to be rich.
I guess so. You write your own set of laws. I think you're both societal and legislative. You kind of do whatever you think is best, and you get away with it because money talks, right? Yeah, but it was a weird time for the 1920s. I would imagine is that like we really start like pumping out celebrities.
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so.
The radio.
Well, it was the Roaring 20s.
Yeah, it was.
Times were good. Flappers and women were smoking long cigarettes.
Yes.
And
darling,
people going down to the shore and buying hot dogs for a nickel.
Oh yeah. I don't know how true this is, but I actually heard, and I don't think we live too far from where the Feltman family lives, but I had heard that the term hot dog gets its name because the Feltmans, who were once Nathan employees starting their own business around this time period, spread rumors that Nathan's used dog meat. I don't know how true that is.
If that's the case,
then
delicious. I love dog meat.
Oh,
nothing is better. No hot dog, I should say, is better than a Nathan's hot dog.
Oh, the crispy, like that
snap.
First snap. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And I'm not. I don't know how like Joey. What's his name? Joey Chestnut.
Yeah,
I don't know how he devours like 9. I believe the last time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
74,
9 million. Oh, I was way off. Okay, 74,
76. It's some disgustingly awesome number.
Even though I
in second place is like 20.
I know. It's just stop.
He's only in competition with himself at this point.
Remember 2 years ago where he like stopped, or maybe a year ago? I don't know.
Oh yeah, he headlocked the dude.
Yeah,
while he's doing it.
Yeah, and he's like 75. Just kept eating. I can't even eat like 2 hot dogs.
He is an American hero. Joey Chestnut.
If you're listening, we
love
you,
man.
Yeah.
All right, so these hats were worn by practically everyone during hot summer months. It was a full-blown fad. That is, until September 15th.
Any year?
Yeah.
Okay, just every year?
Yeah.
Every year on September 15th, you stop wearing it? Yeah. Is there like no white after Labor Day kind of thing?
That's exactly what it is.
Are you kidding?
No.
Oh, look at that.
No.
I knew something about fashion.
Well, that's very good because you're dressed very comfortably.
I am. Oh, I always dress comfortably. Yeah. Listen, I always had this mentality, and you could correct me, because 1920s we also get like, we get the flappers, but we also get this awesome like zoot suits, which I would look terrible in.
I'm not sure that was the 20s.
No, it is. Yeah.
It was the 20s.
It starts coming about in the 1920s. It really becomes popular more towards the 30s, but it starts coming to fruition in the 1920s. You ever see Chris Christie like throwing out the first pitch where he looks like essentially an egg with arms? That's what I would look like in a zoot suit. Like, they look so cool.
Poor guy looks like Humpty Dumpty.
He does. But I can't pull it off. But so I've had this mentality that with like I say, a sharpened pencil, right? Like, it looks good. A sharpened pencil looks good, but it looks good because it hasn't done anything. Okay. A sharpened pencil stands out because it hasn't done. It looks good. Great. I like a sharpened pencil, but it hasn't worked yet.
You can't have your cake and eat it too.
I feel like I can. I feel like,
but once you eat it, you don't have it anymore.
Oh, I swear to God, I never put that together the entire time.
How old are you?
45. I never ever got that. I'm like, I could have it and then I could eat it.
You were talking about pencils,
but then I won't have it anymore. I know. Pencils are made of graphite, not lead. They've been made of graphite for centuries. You don't have to worry about lead.
Centuries.
They've been made of graphite, not lead. The whole bullshit about you getting lead poisoning when I jam you in the arm with one. You're not getting lead poisoning. Watch. Give me a pencil.
I know a girl that has a like a little tattoo on her leg because she would chat it in her pants pocket and she sat down.
Oh yeah,
and it jabbed her in the leg.
Yeah.
So she has a pencil tattoo.
Okay, but she doesn't have lead poisoning.
No,
you don't have to worry about that.
Not that I know of.
I mean,
she gets these cluster headaches every once in a while.
She's been eating paint. She's been eating paint chips. I told her to stop.
But they taste a little bit sweet. She said
they do. Yeah. They do. Bad advice.
Well, a lot like the Labor Day wearing white rule, boaters had their own rule. No boater was to be worn before May 1st. No one really knows why, other than that's around spring or something.
Right. Fashion rules are so arbitrary.
It's not heavy duty headwear. It's literally made of straw. So most would buy them annually.
Yeah.
A little before May 1st.
I guess it's just, I mean, seasonal does sound about right.
It's also about the time the straw would be harvested.
Oh. Yes.
Delivered and weaved by local haberdashers.
Oh, haberdasheries.
What's a haberdashery?
Is that where they make hats?
That's a hat maker.
Yeah.
It's a hat maker place.
Yeah. All right, you know what? You put me on the spot there. I'm like, I know the word. I think I know the word. I shouldn't know haberdashery. I mean, that's why do I know that?
I throw it out there every once in a while, just because it's a fun word.
Yeah.
Apothecary.
Oh,
there's another one.
Yes. What the heck is that? That's the medicine, like pharmacy.
It's a drugstore.
Yeah, it's a pharmacy. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Sounds fancy.
Yeah. My wife said was asking where she can get something. I don't remember what it was. And I said, well, why don't you just do a Google search for an apothecary?
Oh,
trying to sound all smart to my wife. She does a Google search for apothecary. She's like, these are all vape places.
Yes. And you're like, that's exactly what I meant. That's exactly mission accomplished.
Opposingly, no boater was to ever be worn after September 15th. No one really knows why this specific date was chosen. But it is during the cooler time of the year. Traditionally, every September 15th, Wall Street stockbrokers would make a spectacle out of taking off their boater hats and stomping them until they were unwearable. And according to a New York Times article, the origin of this hat stomping tradition was unknown, but was suspicious that it was started by the class that only happened to be wearing boater hats of that day.
I'm not sure I understand that. What?
They could afford it.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I doubt the average person's going to take a hat and smash it. Like you're not buying a hat.
They tried to introduce a tradition. They tried to start a tradition.
You know who started that? Probably
Big Hat.
Yeah, big. You don't trust Big Hat. They're probably the ones that started. Oh, I mean, we can't get them to buy new hats every year, can we? Of course we can. We'll get them to destroy their hats.
Yeah,
genius.
That really is what the New York Times was implying in that article. Yeah,
Big Hat can't beat Big Hat. Can't beat Big Hat industry. They're everywhere. They control everything.
It wasn't just the rich people that were wearing hats at this time. Now, this deadline was purely an American tradition. In Europe, one could proudly wear a boater all year round and look current and stylish. Meanwhile, stateside, if you are wearing a boater hat after September 15th, you may get assaulted or get snowballs thrown at you. Your hat may be snatched off your head, and you may get the old Bronx cheer by strangers.
Rich people, like we said before, kind of make their own rules. But this part, I don't get. Just put it away.
The September 15th thing is just American, and it seems like Wall Street guys are the ones that started it. In Europe, boaters are really they're not quite as prevalent over there.
Yeah.
But it's still very prevalent, and you can easily wear one all year round, and no one will say anything.
Okay. I mean,
but here stateside, you're gonna hear about it. Your friends are gonna snatch your hat off of your head and stomp it, and strangers are gonna give you dirty looks and snide comments.
I guess it would make sense to me that post World War I, Europe, if you have something, you're holding on to it. And I'm guessing for a country like the United States that was largely we lost men in the war, a lot of men in the war, too many, but not comparative to Europe. And of course, unlike the fields of France, America didn't look like Swiss cheese from bombing. So I guess we could afford to be a little bit more decadent, or at least we thought we could, right? I mean, that's part of the whole nature of the Great Depression in the first place, just how much we were the decadence of the 1920s, the spending and the borrowing and the charging, all when these people thought they were going to have money that would last forever.
They were charging back then?
Yeah, I think the diner's card is the first kind of credit card at the time.
What was it made out of?
I'll assume paper. I don't know. But I mean, there's no plastics really being used in large or at all, I think, at this point. But yeah, I would assume paper. But credit, or at least credit card. I think the first credit card is the Diners Club card. And then, it started kind of ballooning from there.
Haberdasheries dared not display any straw hats after September 15th in fear of being blackballed by the community. And if someone did come in looking to buy a straw hat out of season, you'd be rudely told to come back in the spring.
I don't
imagine just turning away money.
I know. I don't get it. But that's fashion, right? I mean, we're not really a part of that world. I would imagine that's like a thing. Like I saw some clip from maybe like Legally Blonde where she was able to identify like what season shoes came from, and I said, I'm like, wow, I guess that in that particular field, that's a gift, what I mean? Not to crap on it, but it's not a gift that I would like to possess, nor am I interested in possessing. But if you are in the field of fashion, I guess that would be something admirable.
I know a guy who said that he could tell everything he needs to know about somebody by looking at their shoes. And I said, that sounds not true.
Yeah.
And he said, no, really, the condition that they're in, the scuff marks,
right,
clean or not, whether you've replaced the laces with something newer or not, the way the knot is tied, if it's a knot that you can tell that you're slipping your feet in, if you tied it with your feet crossed, with your foot crossed over your other leg, or if you bend down to do it.
All right.
He said he could tell all of those things by looking at somebody, and then he would judge their character.
See that? All right. That's where I have to disagree, because all that stuff, fine, I could live with. If you think you could kind of make some generalities based on the way a person presents himself, that's fine.
Clearly, he's full of shit.
Yeah, but that's so presumptuous. I mean, because I wear a shirt and tie almost every day to work, and when I get home, that's the last thing in the world I want to be in. I want to be comfortable. I mean, not to say that I'm not like uncomfortable at work, but I want to be in like sweats and a t-shirt. So if he looks at me, I guess he's gonna. I don't know what looks at my ratty sneakers.
Well, you already said that you're not fashionable.
No. But I don't think that's a reflection of my character. That's what I'm saying. Like,
well, fashionable people say that it is.
Right. And I do think that is kind of shallow.
Oh, yeah.
And pedantic, like just to look at the way someone's shoes are and say, oh, I know everything I need to know about that person. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. That is why I rebel against fashion. That is why.
Yeah.
Also, I'm cheap.
During the cold months, all men were still expected to wear hats, but they were to be made of anything but straw. The warmer hats that were worn during the colder months were made of felt, wool, silk, beaver.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But there were rules for these cold weather hats too. These rules are more like modern day rules that we have today. No hats in church, at funerals. When meeting a woman, funerals.
How do you do, madam?
Ma'am.
How's your day?
I was like in the cowboy movies.
Little clip of the hat.
Yeah. Starting in the fall of 1910, young men would take the borders off of their friends and smash them and chant, "It's the end of summer."
God.
Now,
kids,
I'm assuming that's in quotes. It's the end of summer, and I'm assuming they did it in a really annoying sing song. How do you think they would say it?
I feel like it's a tease. It's the end of summer, but it's probably not like that, right? I'm hoping it's more melodic. Like
it's the end of summer.
It's the end of summer, everyone. Gather around, children. But if you guys are wondering what in the world people did before the internet, this is it. They made up stupid rules about hats, stupid songs about hats, but it's
also a time of peace.
Yeah, this is between the wars. Sure,
we're between wars. Where as a country we're thriving. We really don't have much going on. We don't
right.
have anything better to do,
Well,
which is nice.
Yeah, we're starting to get into movies at this time period. There's
The
still
moving pictures.
moving pictures. I mean, yeah, movies have been around since probably the late 1800s, but this is the time where, I mean, bear in mind, you're going to a movie theater back then. You're dressed to the nines. You're dressing well for a movie theater because they're still silent films.
I think they dressed for everything.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen pictures of people over at Coney Island back in the 20s? They were wearing suits.
Well, they were people whose job it was is to walk around on the beach and to measure bikinis to make sure that they were appropriate.
There were no bikinis back then.
Well, I mean, not by name, but bathing suits. Yeah, bikinis don't exist back then. No, the name I think that comes from the Bikini Atoll.
I thought it was SpongeBob.
Well, that's where SpongeBob comes. That's fun fact. You know that SpongeBob is the result of a marine biologist studying the effects of radiation on animal and plant life in the Bikini Atoll. He noticed that sponges and starfish were growing to an unreasonable rate because of the radiation, and said, "Hey, it would be funny if they eventually started talking." And that's where the whole idea comes from.
And that's when the karate underwater squirrels came from.
Yes, it is. It's a fact.
Now, smashing your friend's hat was all in good fun, but if it was done by a stranger, you're starting a fight, pretty much.
I mean, all right. That's the one rule about this that I could kind of agree with so far. Well, that makes sense.
I'd imagine. Have you ever seen the boxers back in the 1910s?
Yeah.
And they would stick they would put both of their dukes up, and their palms would be inward.
Yes.
Like the fighting Irish guy.
Yes.
Yeah. I could totally take one of them.
Yeah. Like a leprechaun?
Oh yeah. I'm kicking a leprechaun.
I guess. Yeah. I mean,
straight across the room.
It's a fictional.
No, I'm talking about one of those 1910 boxers.
Oh, I don't know how true this is because I'm not a sports person in the least. I think this is the time where like we're starting to see like Jack Dempsey and like the heavyweight champions that we know, right?
Yeah, Dempsey was cool.
Yeah. But
he used to train by going to coal mining towns, going into the local bar and just starting fights with strangers. And that's how he would train in between professional bouts.
True. My friend Derek Zoolander worked in a coal mine for like a day, but then he got the black lung.
Oh,
yeah.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he's okay. He went on to build a school for children who can't read so good.
How big was it?
It's a school for ants. But I don't know how true this is. I'm not a sports person in the least, but I heard that before the invention of boxing gloves, like modern day boxing gloves, and the modern day like football helmets. You remember like in the 1920s, like the leatherheads, they would wear like
fighter pilot helmets.
Yeah, like these. I don't know. Right? What like was it leather? I think
leather.
so. Yeah, that there were no deaths in the games. Like no one died in boxing. No one died in because they kind of knew their limitations.
Well, also heavyweights back then were 180 pounds.
Yeah. I think I would be in a circus for like world's fattest man back then. Like they would put me in
I think we both
like a cage.
we'd both be freaks.
But man, I could have made so much money. Charge a dime to see me. Anyway, sorry.
Pittsburgh, September 14th, 1910. An organized protest took place demanding the banning of straw hats after September 15th. This is how good we had it as a country.
Right. Well, now we're going pre-World War I, right?
They had the time and motivation for this, which is just...
It is amazing.
Imagine getting together with your buddies to protest.
It's too much.
A men's fashion faux pas.
Ellsworth, I can't take it anymore. There are people walking around with straw hats.
I've got nothing better to do.
Yeah, it's September 16th, for the love of God. For Pete's sake.
Trying to make a law. You know, if you ever wondered how these strange laws in history ever got enacted, it's because of people like this.
Yeah. It is amazing if you look at history, how very vocal minority groups, like the women's temperance movement at this time. This is the same time period we're talking about where throughout the country, even though prohibition is not a constitutional amendment at this point, there are cities, there are townships, there are states that are going dry at this point in 1910. And it is amazing that it's largely passed by well-meaning, but very small vocal minority groups. In this case, it's usually like these women's kind of Christian temperance movement. And in this case,
And I imagine them wearing these hats with birds in them.
Yeah,
by the way.
right. But the temperance movement, I could see some logic to. I could see the argument behind it. The fact that you'd want to pass a law that prohibited
get together with your buddies to protest that this law doesn't exist yet.
How bored are you?
You're not even protesting a law that exists and it's wrong. You're protesting that you haven't made more restrictions on yourself as a society. It's so stupid.
And then
just
people,
don't wear the hat.
Then people complain like, I don't want the government too involved in my life, but pass a law that tells me what hat I could wear.
You know who's behind this?
Big hat.
Big hat.
I knew it.
Those damn haberdasheries.
Haberdasheries. I can't. That doesn't make sense.
I laughed at it though.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's got to make sense.
Yeah, all right. I'll take
In
it.
subsequent years, other cities had their own protests, some of which rolling the date closer to the 1st of September.
Oh,
they're making it even harder for themselves.
Before Labor Day? Agnes, you're out of your mind.
During many of these demonstrations around the country, neighborhood kids would snatch straw hats off of strangers and stomp them and run away. Police were called in many cases in order to catch these rapscallions.
Imagine you're a cop getting called in for this. Like, what happened, folks? Who's murdered? Who's dead? And you're like, no, they took my hat.
Imagine?
Yeah. And? Like,
well, no. It wouldn't be like that. Back then, if you didn't have your hat on, it's a big deal.
Yeah,
a police officer would come up to you. You there? What's the matter?
You hatless freak.
Well, you see, officer, I'm not wearing a hat. Are you in hysterics? Get to your local haberdasher now.
Get this man some cocaine.
Did they know how good they had it back then with getting illicit drugs
everywhere?
Right.
I think
just call it tonic and it's good to go.
Oh my gosh, you ever look at the ingredients of bear medicine at this time period? It's like morphine, cocaine, other things that I can't remember.
That explains everything.
It's rough. It was.
That
rough.
explains this whole episode.
I mean, right.
The dead birds on women's hats. It explains everything.
I swear to God, because even when I used to teach about like the founding fathers, and I talked about how much they drank, how much the founding fathers drank, and I always say, don't you have to kind of question at least some part of it, because you are looking through it through the lens. We are looking at history through the lens of people who were intoxicated on a daily. You know what I mean? Like they were, their decisions have to be brought into question sometimes through the lens of, were they drinking a copious amount of alcohol? And now by the time you get to the 1910s, it was like, you have a headache, have some cocaine.
Here's some heroin.
Right. Have some morphine. I mean, and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, hats. Yes, I have to stop hats. Oh God, hats are out of control. Hats are out of control. Cocaine, fine, just fine. Put it in children's medicine, put it in a cough syrup, but God forbid you wear a hat after Labor Day. Prioritize, Pittsburgh.
Police were called in many cases. Other people took matters into their own hands, aka fisticuffs, see?
I'll fight you if you wear a hat.
Which really would happen today.
Oh,
also.
absolutely.
Someone snatches a hat off my head.
Find,
we're going down. We're going to dance a little bit.
I stand by this logic that we will find, and we as, not you and I, but the royal we, like we as a culture, will find something, anything to argue with someone about. We will find something to dislike you. Oh, we don't like the way your ears are shaped. You know what I mean? Like it's absurd. It's absurd. Everyone's like, oh, I want world peace. Well, then we need to stop being stupid. We need to stop being stupid. Stop judging people on their hat. Let's start with that.
I kind of like the whole hat judging thing.
No, it's so superficial.
It means times are good.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Fine.
Yeah.
Because if you can focus on a hat,
it's so time consuming and
true.
frivolous.
Okay.
This is a wonderful. I'd rather do this than make bombs.
Fine. But times are good depending upon your social and economic status at this time. Because 1910, if we're talking 1910 Pittsburgh, there's this is where that kind of like wage gap. This is when that starts to really come into fruition. We saw that the divide between the wealthy and those who don't have wealth, that starts to just become an insurmountable gap.
But you know what brought the Gap together in some ways? The boater hat.
Boater hat unites all.
Anyone could afford one.
Okay, that's a fashion. It's kind of like Crocs. No?
I don't know. My Crocs were kind of expensive.
Are they?
It was like $35 on Amazon.
Oh, all right, $35.
For as luckily as they were, I really was. I don't know. For some reason, I thought that they would be like 15 or something like that.
Do you think that straw hats are the 1910s equivalent?
Oh, that's a good one. No, because Crocs are a brand. I think that the straw hat thing, the equivalent would be a baseball cap.
Yeah. Okay.
You can get yourself a new era and spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
Or you can. I don't mean a lot of money. No,
relatively, relatively for a hat.
Or you can just go pick one up for $5 somewhere.
Yeah, right. Dollar General. Right?
Yeah. So I would say that we could just.
Okay, that's good. Fun fact, you know that Crocs became big or relatively big after Idiocracy.
The movie.
Yeah. When what's his name? Mike Judge, I believe. Mike Judge was making. Is that Mike Judge? I think it was when Mike Judge was making Idiocracy. I feel like it's Mike Judge. Now I'm going to be caught on that. Anyway, he wanted to find the stupidest looking shoes.
If he's wrong about Mike Judge writing that, please
nerdsNightOutPodcast at gmail.com.
That's right.
But he wanted to pick the stupidest shoes, and he did. He picked Crocs.
It would be either them or Uggs.
Oh yeah,
Uggs are just
man.
Meanwhile, at this time, there are many articles written about bringing men into court if they're wearing a straw hat after September 1st because of the outrage that it caused in public. The next day, September 15th, 1910, the Pittsburgh Press, which is a newspaper, wrote of the previous day's charades.
The word press threw me off.
Exactly.
Yeah, I thought it was like an ironing board.
Now, this is in quotes. It's all right for stockbrokers on the exchange to destroy one another's hats if they like, on the principle that everything goes among friends. But no man likes to have his hat snatched from his head by somebody he has not yet been introduced to.
So that's the solution to the problem. Just
introduce yourself.
Like, hello, my name is Timothy. I'm going to destroy your hat.
No. We need an old-timey name.
Oh.
Or Archibald.
Reginald. Kermit.
Mine's better.
Kermit was a name.
Kermit's a good one.
Kermit was a name.
Ichabod.
Yeah. Fun fact.
These facts are getting less and less fun.
They're not fun at all, actually.
Some of them more.
Teddy Roosevelt's sons were named Archibald and Kermit. And he also had a son named Quentin, who died.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I guess they all died.
That's sad.
I guess we all die eventually. I guess death comes for us all. Fun fact.
That's an evil sounding laugh.
I went willfully dark on that one.
All right, just in case you weren't aware, I'm going to edit really sad or some kind of good music into that.
Death comes for us all, I guess. If you think about it, or if you don't think about it, it doesn't matter.
I'm still coming for you.
Your awareness of it is inconsequential.
September 13th, 1922, a gang of young men from the 5 Point section of downtown Manhattan started celebrating the smashing of hats early to strangers that were working at the loading docks.
Yeah.
Let's recap that.
So I don't know. So we have unruly teenagers.
You got young punks from an area of downtown Manhattan that's known for gangs.
Yes. A bunch of 9-year-olds that had just got done working 16 hours in the coal mine.
Stirring up shit with local dock workers on their home turf.
Dude, I would not even by 1910 standards. You're not messing with dock.
I'm not messing with a dock worker, especially a group of dock workers together.
Right. They work like 32 hours a day. I don't know.
I think I've heard that before.
They do. It's a fact. They work like 32 hours a day, and all they do is lift stuff, break stuff, and smash things. And
no, they don't smash. They do a very good job.
Not willfully.
Yeah, they do. All my dock worker friends all do a great job.
Oh, you have dock worker friends?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. And their calluses can beat you up.
They're callous.
Just
yes,
the calluses
alone. Right, yeah. Right. I know. Jesus. I've got baby soft hands. I don't want to mess with that.
Let me feel. Oh.
I do, yeah.
Do you moisturize?
It's a little rough. It's a long day. But
this mass disrespect started a brawl the brawl got so big that it stopped traffic on the Manhattan Bridge. Now, I know this area. They started down around the South Street Seaport area.
Oh.
This brawl got so big, it worked its way up to Canal Street in order for it to stop traffic on the Manhattan Bridge. Dude, do you remember the good old days of Canal Street?
Yeah. My mother used to take me down
those
there.
fake Rolex watches.
Yes, exactly.
I had a Tag Heuer. I
Okay.
had several Rolexes. They were $5 each.
That was a good time.
A buddy of mine bought a fake Rolex from those guys for $5.
But they're back. Those guys are back, you know.
Are they?
In full. I mean, that's what I see on the news. At least I haven't been
I haven't seen any
to Times Square or that area in a while.
And his watch broke, and he took it to a watch repair guy to get fixed. And the watch repair guy said, "I'm not touching this. This is a piece of garbage."
Yeah, right. I get lead poisoning just by looking at it. I don't think I have enough cadmium to fix this up.
Now, this brawl spread into a full-blown riot.
Full-blown riot.
At this point, multiple street gangs were roaming the streets, swiping hats.
Meryl Streeps.
Some were using sticks. Some were using sticks with hooks on the end of them, which seems dangerous.
It's a murder weapon.
Like the stick is dangerous enough, but to adorn it with a hook.
Yeah, that's Candyman.
And some thugs were straight up knocking people's hats off with wooden clubs. And to make things worse, some of these wooden clubs had a nail knocked through it.
Yeah, these are murder weapons.
Like Negan style.
Oh, good. Walking Dead Cup.
Yes.
But
zombie reference.
Yes, gotta love the zombies. Our best episode.
Police eventually arrive, but the riot wasn't quelled until well into the night, according to the newspapers. Well into the night. That's the official.
Here's two problems. One is that you have young people bored enough. I'll say bored enough, or it like culturally like stigmatized enough to think that wearing that hat after a certain date, in this case September 15th, is like murder worthy. And then on the other side, you have
definitely beat up worthy. They're definitely assaulting everybody, whether they're hitting them.
You're putting a nail in a bat. You're straight up.
Just taking someone's hat off of their head is assault.
Fine, but let's just consider the fact that too there are now people wearing these hats
and then knocking them off
that are like adamant that like I'm keeping this hat on. This straw hat is worth my life. And
some of them were bought for as cheap as 10 cents, which is the equivalent in today's money of $2.67. I'm not going to give. I'm not going to fight for that.
I actually I have a question about that right there. Did you actually do that number ahead of time?
I Googled it.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because that's a radically high number for 10 cents.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Inflation's
and we're only talking 102 years ago.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we are. Yeah. Right. God, it doesn't feel like it should. But $2.60 for 10 cents. That's a crazy amount of inflation.
We're talking about the value of the hat at this point, and whether it's worth fighting over.
No, still
like
not.
The disrespect, the assault, yes. But if I'm wearing one of those cheaper hats, But then again, I don't know. Maybe back then I wouldn't want to be seen outside my house without a hat on.
Yeah,
I don't want to finish my commute home with a naked head.
I'd rather not have a nail like stuck in my neck with a stick attached to it, though. Prioritize.
It's either that or my neighbors think I'm weird on my walk into my apartment building.
Love your hat, Jim. Thanks, Agnes. Hey, where'd you get that new stick with a nail in your neck? Oh, this? Canal Street. They're just giving them out.
One way or another, you're coming home without your hat on. So I guess I'm just gonna give it up. Yeah. Now, the next day, September 14th, 1922.
Good.
The New York Times says it is the inalienable. Oh yeah, hold on. I'm gonna say this in my. Actually, do you want to do this?
Yeah.
One? All right. Do you have an old timey voice?
I'll try.
All right.
Oh, you want to go for the edit with that?
No.
Whiskey Power.
No, this is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then the next day, September 14th, 1922, the New York Times says it is the inalienable right of the man to wear a hat during a snowstorm if he desires. It is to be upheld in this city by both police and the magistrates. And a warning must be sent broadcast to all Straw Hat Smashers last night that jail terms on assault charges awaited them if they started any such carnival today. And said a man has the right to defend his hat as much as he has the right to defend his watch. I'm not putting those two.
You did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
That was wonderful.
Yeah. I'm not putting hat and watch. Oh, you know what? My watch.
He has as much right to defend his hat as he does his watch. Right. Don't take his hat just because it's straw. It's his. God. You know what?
That's the 28th Amendment.
You know
the right to wear hats.
He's suggesting we can take those fake Rolexes.
I would much rather defend my watch than
fake hat. Rolex, because they are on Canal Street. You know these.
Oh, am I wearing a watch? Oh, I took my watch off. But I have. Q knows that I have had since 2003, I believe, a Superman Returns watch, and it has not worked in roughly 10 years. I've tried to get it fixed like twice.
You bought it on Canal Street too, huh?
No, it's a good one. It was relatively good. It was a Fossil watch.
It's a Superman watch. It must be good.
Yeah, I know. It was like a higher end for Fossil.
Higher end,
yeah.
And it stopped working. Well,
it just stopped working. Yeah.
Quartz or was it kryptonite?
I don't approve of such Superman bashing. It's a great watch.
There's a kryptonite.
Anyone out there with the Superman Returns watch, it's a collector's item.
No one else has that watch. It stopped working 10 years ago.
I think they only made 1,000.
And they all stopped working 10 years ago.
Probably. I have two, and they both don't work.
You bought them both at the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are they numbered?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I have 150.
I would have been very disappointed if they weren't numbered. Then, what good is having a limited edition if you're not going to number it? All right. So, what the New York Times is actually saying, they're not saying to steal the fake,
right?
The fake watches. What they're saying is that the law will be involved if anyone plans on assaulting anyone anymore in this city. So at this point, according to the New York Times, the victim blaming has stopped. Much like today, the credibility of the New York Times was second to none. And Zooks, I bet you dollars to donuts that this message was seen far and wide outside the New York State area.
So I like your 1920s voice.
You had a good one too. Bro.
Oh, thank you. Aww. That's sweet. Play a little romantic music here, but
we just looked into each other's eyes.
It's a little much. It's a little much. By the way, we're probably talking when we say watches back then. I think we're predominantly. Oh no, we're in the 1920s, so we now have like wristwatches at this point. Wristwatches were mostly like a World War I invention.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So now that the law is involved, this is the story of the 1922 Straw Hat Riots.
All right.
That was a good episode. Psych.
I was gonna say we gotta. Yeah.
This article only encouraged hat snatchers to snatch more hats, but on the contrary, the flip side, the straw hat wearers were also angry because they didn't want to wear their hats during a snowstorm too. Stop telling them to stop.
This is the same country where roughly 10 years prior, they wanted to pass laws about when and where to wear these hats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the straw hat wearers also wanted to not wear a hat after September 15th. Yeah. The New York Times just doesn't get it.
Well, this is the whole nature of being like contrarian, Like I used to joke around. Remember when fidget spinners were like a big pain in the butt thing in schools?
You can't call them that.
Fidget spinners?
You can't use that word. The F word?
No, fidget. Oh. Yeah, that's a different. Fidget spinners like a huge thing, right? And I used to say to the people, give me the fidget spinner. I will use it. And after I use it and children see me using it,
they'll stop.
They will stop because they won't want to use it. That's what you do here. If you ban something, if you tell people not to do something, they want to do it more than anything in the world.
No, nobody wants people to wear hats after September 15th in the United States.
You're going to stand by that?
Nobody wants it.
I want it. Okay?
Right now, these guys, hat wearers of the time are standing up to the man and flipping up their fingers saying, don't tell me when to not wear my hat. I'll not wear my hat when I don't want to not wear my hat.
Yeah, this is why we fight wars. This is why we fight wars. To like, it's generations like this. This was after World War One. I mean, these guys had seen a lot. They'd seen a lot. They're coming back shell shocked. I guarantee you, it's not these guys. It's not those guys that are arguing about hats. No, siree, Bob.
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think any soldier who's been in the trenches of France
gives two
gives two hoots.
Ooh.
Oh, I went there. Yeah, it gives two hoots about some dang hat. I'm sorry about all the swear words.
The night of September 14th, a surprisingly hot day for that time of year, had droves of men wearing their boaters walking around Midtown and Uptown areas, thinking that the distance from yesterday's hootenanny was substantial enough to keep them safe.
It was a violent hootenanny.
From the docks, where the riot started, to the most southern tip of Amsterdam Avenue, which is about 5 miles.
Okay.
10th Avenue turns into Amsterdam at 59th Street. The riots continued from downtown Manhattan up to Amsterdam Avenue.
Jesus.
Droves of gangs were prowling the streets. As soon as one precinct would break up the commotion, the gangs would disperse and meet up in another area and continue the pandemonium.
Break it up. Nothing to see here.
Now, exactly.
Yeah.
The cops would show up. They'd come out with their sticks.
Yep.
They would do what they have to do to disperse the crowd. The
Smash
crowds
some heads.
would run and disperse. They wouldn't run in the same direction. They would literally disperse and then meet up as if they were meeting up at a predetermined location and start it again at another area.
Right.
These gangs of hundreds still had their sticks with hooks and clubs with nails. Some gangs swarmed straw hat wearers, and other gangs split up into groups of 5 to 10 and would ambush hat wearers. They would stand in alleyways and doorways and stuff and wait for people to walk by. Some victims were attacked by a group organized enough to corner the victim against a wall, then force the straw hat wearer to escape through a gauntlet.
Oh, the only thing close to this that we see in New York now is SantaCon.
It's disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's so terrible. It's terrible. Just picture like fat, drunken Santas vomiting all over,
vomit on his beard.
Yeah. If you have kids, imagine bringing your kids into Manhattan, because you know there's going to be like people from all over the world coming into Times Square at that time, and all of a sudden you see two Santas fighting, slipping on another Santa's vomit.
It does not make me proud to be.
I'm proud to be.
Yeah. It just doesn't make it. I feel dirty just seeing those guys walking around. I met a guy one time that said that he was one of those SantaCon guys, and
Did he hate himself?
That was it.
Yeah.
I really wanted nothing to do with it.
Right. No,
he seemed like a nice enough guy until he told me that little detail about him, and I was like, all right, well, cool. Listen, I'll catch you around.
It's superficial to judge someone based on their shoes. It is a-okay to judge them based on their involvement in Santa.
Yeah. We were at the same party, and we were just talking to each other, and that's all I needed to know to just go mill in another direction after that.
If you don't live in New York City and you think SantaCon is cool, go for it, man. Keep thinking it is. Like, live the allure of it, but in practice, it is a terrible thing. Terrible thing. Remember they're going to ban it a couple of years ago, and then
there's been talk about it.
Yeah. Send them back to the North Pole where they came from.
No, I think they came from like Hoboken.
Send them back to Hoboken.
Or Long Island.
Send them back. Running out of places.
They're definitely not from here, because no one in New York City would do that to New York City.
Yeah, New York is generally.
People don't do that in their own backyard.
No.
All right. Off-duty cops were victimized. Undercover cops were victimized. Back then, undercover cops were officially called plainclothes officers. A lot like today also, but they weren't called undercover at all back then. And I looked it up. I thought that it might have been a typo or something like that when I looked it up. The first plainclothes officers were implemented in New York City in 1898.
That's fair.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I was really surprised. I always thought that undercover cops was a
modern kind of.
Yeah, I thought like in the 80s, maybe or 70s or something like that. Yeah,
things, right.
Many victims. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
were you going?
I think this is a time before Brooklyn is New York City. I think at this time Brooklyn is still its own city. So when we're talking about New York City, we're talking about some of the boroughs. Brooklyn's not one of them. I don't
Well,
think we
right now
joined
we're
until
talking about
1902.
Manhattan.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. We're talking about
Specifically
When you
Manhattan.
say New York City, we're really talking Manhattan
Yeah.
at this point.
Many victims surrendered the hat, but those that refused to surrender it chose to defend it and were beaten to a bloody pulp, I tells you, just like 25-year-old Harry Gerber.
What a baby.
He was bitten by thugs so badly he had to be rushed to Harlem Hospital because his beating was so brutal. Some witnesses said the mob of hat smashers on Amsterdam Avenue numbered as much as 1,000. And the Tribune newspaper added, the carnival prevailed from the Battery to the Bronx. Too many hats and not enough police.
Got a little high pitch at the end there.
So there was.
This guy Gerber really seems like a baby.
Well,
get it?
I do.
Gerber.
It's a baby food.
It's a baby. Imagine, God, listen, guys, let go of the hat. Let go of the hat. It's cool. It's fine.
Too many hats and not enough police is actually kind of a funny little.
Yeah. That sounds like a name of a ska band.
Because you're going to need a police officer for every hat.
Too many hats.
He's not counting the thugs. He's counting the hats.
God.
Remember, these men were wearing straw hats that weren't even really being robbed.
Right.
The gangs just wanted their hats. Hats that they're going to be putting away or breaking on their own tomorrow anyway.
Yeah. New Yorkers get bored really easily.
They're not taking their money. They're not trying to take their pride.
Yep.
They
just want to take your life.
And it's a hat that you're really probably going to either break or just put in storage.
Yeah.
It really, why would you risk getting beaten up for a $2.67 hat?
I guess it begs the question of like, what is worth getting beat up for? You know, like what are you willing to, like, someone wanted your biohazard sweatshirt. Are you fighting for it?
Is it disposable?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because straw hats are.
I mean, is the shirt disposable? No, but is it replaceable? Yes.
Am I not going to wear it? Am I going to put it into storage? Is a buddy of mine gonna pull it off of me and say, yeah, it's the end of summer and ruin it anyway tomorrow? And if a friend of mine did that to me, I'd be okay with it. Like, I'm probably going to be losing it anyway. Why am I going to fight for it?
Right. Fair enough.
I'm not that proud.
As you should not be. I mean, that's just insane to be that invested in a
disposable
hat. Right.
That I don't want to wear tomorrow anyway.
Yeah. Hey, fella, get off my hat.
Straw hat bonfires were peppered around the city.
God.
They were kicking them together, making piles big enough to make they're not saying campfires. They're not saying garbage can fires. They're saying bonfires. This is the press saying it though, but I've never seen a not big bonfire.
Yeah, if you look up like the history of New York in any book, they just skip over this. They just skip over this because we're not proud of this. As New Yorkers, we're not proud of this day. The calendar just goes from the 13th to the 16th. It just skips right over all this.
Arrested rioters ranged in ages from 15 to 34. Imagine being that guy.
Grown ass man.
Imagine being that dude.
Yeah.
You're too old to be like, you can't even be tagging along with like your little brother. Like you're definitely an uncle status at that point.
You can't, but at this point you can't even, like, if you look back at pictures of people from this time period,
a 34-year-old looked like a 50-year-old dude.
Right. And your 18-year-old looked like a 50-year-old too. You know, like, you can try to tell the difference.
Yeah, it's Civil War mutton chops.
Right. Yeah, they've seen some stuff.
Yeah, Wilfred Brimley, I think, was 34 when he did Cocoon.
God, Cocoon, I know. That's such a. I think I'm pretty sure. I got to look it up, but I think we're like the same age as the Golden Girls right now. I know.
Yes.
So we age differently, but they've been showing a lot of pictures. Have you seen that? They've shown a lot of pictures online about like how we age differently than our fathers and grandfathers and before them did. But I do think it is a lot of fashion too. It's like the way you wore your hair, the way you dressed. I'm not going to the movies wearing a tux. I'm not going out in public wearing a bowler hat. These are not things that I'm doing. So it kind of gives the illusion that, well, I mean, my gray hair kind of gives it away, but that we're younger, or we look younger than our forefathers did. But these guys, these 18-year-olds back then, 18 at the time, today we treat like, I remember I was at work a couple of years ago, and there was like a 24-year-old working, and like, oh, come on, he's just a baby. He's just a baby. I'm like, wait, he's 24.
Yeah,
he's 24. Well, I don't know what's the limit.
Depends what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, like an after school program. So I don't know, like a counselor.
All the boys that were 15 years old and younger, well, I guess they wouldn't be younger. All the boys that were 15 years old and were minors weren't charged because they were minors, but their parents were called into the station, and their fathers were ordered to spank the boys right there at the station until the lieutenant felt justice was served.
So it must have been just the strangest moment in law history. 16
and 17-year-olds were only charged with disorderly conduct.
Okay.
The adults that were charged with assault.
The adults that are charged should be charged with like federal crimes, because as an adult,
federal.
Yeah. I know. It's not how it works. Like, there should be a felony. They should be going to jail for a long time, just because it's so dumb. It's so dumb. And if you're 34 years old and you're involved in this, it's just dumb, guys. It's just dumb. Go home. You're 34 years old in 1922. You're probably a grandfather at this time. Go home. There's lots of children at home. Take care of them. Don't worry about the hat.
The arrested adults were taken into the courtroom of magistracy of the city's men's night court.
Oh, with Bull and Harry.
You can't hear it right now because I put it in post.
I can't do that.
It's okay. It's happening right now. It's happening.
Oh, okay.
You're singing over it. You're ruining it.
Hear it.
There it is.
I hear. Oh, it's so good.
The magistrate's name was Peter A. Hatting.
Oh, well, I think we all know how this is going to go.
This has to be a conflict of interest.
It's part of the big hat industry.
No, I say that. As a magistrate, I feel this cannot be a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest,
I will have it.
That's my favorite kind of conflict.
Just spank that child and be done with
it. Spanking your kids in front of the cop until the cop puts his finger down. You'll continue spanking until I lower my finger.
Yes. God.
Dad will smack him once, look up at the cop. Is that good?
True story.
No.
Years and years ago, I have two sons. Years ago, my oldest, he's probably like 7 at the time, was misbehaving, and I took him into the bathroom and I closed the door, and I took my belt off, and I hit the belt on a towel, and it made like a whooping noise. And I said, okay, every time I hit this towel, I want you to yell. And every time you hit this towel, I want you to yell. And he did. And then I went outside to my other son, and I said, are you going to behave, or you want me to do this to you, the belt to you? And he goes, no. And we didn't even think of it. Never thought about it again. And maybe like 10 years later, fairly recently, and he came to me. He's like, remember that time you spanked my brother with a belt? And I said, oh, buddy, I forgot. I had to tell him. I'm like, I never actually did that. And all these years, he thought I had done it, but I never did.
That's pretty messed up.
I know. I always joke around.
What's bad, but not as bad as beating your kid for no reason?
Yeah, right. It's not like I actually did it. That would be worse, I would imagine.
It is worse.
Yeah. But I always joke around. I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing right now that is inadvertently scarring these kids? You ever think about that as a father? Like, what am I doing?
I'm perfect.
All right. I always think about that. Like, what am I doing that's scarring these kids? Well, now I know. That was one of them. That was definitely one of those things.
Yeah, I think it did.
Oh, yeah.
Up years later.
But I guess that had its desired effect. I didn't. I had forgotten about it. I didn't mean for the joke to run as long as it did. But
did you pick up on my hatting? my hatting impression?
I did like your hatting
Yeah.
impression. Yeah, yeah.
Did you pick up on the whole conflict of interest thing that I said?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. I
Okay.
mean, he's hatting.
It's his favorite. Conflict of interest. That's my favorite kind of conflict.
I'm picturing like one of those turn and hooch
Because
dog.
the conflict is interesting.
No, I get it. Hatting. Yep, it's in the name.
Hatting ruled. A man is his property, and to hit a man's hat is civil assault, and will be treated as such. That's Hatting's voice.
That's good. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
You're just assuming.
No, I met him.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they don't make them like that anymore.
No, they don't make him
No.
like Peter A. Hatting anymore.
So he fined the captured rioters $5, which
How much?
Can you
how much would
guess?
that be?
go ahead and give a guess.
Oh gosh, I'd have to say $92.35.
That is a really good guess.
Wow. Is
Wow.
it? I'm just ballparking it here.
And those that didn't pay served jail time.
I mean, $5 is a good amount of money. There were people making $5 a week back then. You know.
I think they only served one night in jail though.
Yeah. Okay.
So like $92 or go home tonight.
Yeah. I would take a good night's sleep maybe.
Could not sleep in your own bed.
I don't know.
Haberdasheries all around New York City were staying open every day, all night long, to accommodate all of the men that were hatless. Remember,
Those
a man
poor
can't be
guys.
seen outside without his hat on unless his building is burning down or something like that.
Yeah. I'm surprised the president didn't call in like federal troops to back this
Well-
whole thing. National Guard.
Well, all these guys are hatless. There's
The hatless.
there's
pandemic.
bonfires of hats, and
Yeah.
all these hat stores are staying open into the night, busy.
Shout out to the good guys in the haberdasheries.
Busy.
Yeah.
And the people are walking, they're rushing in there.
I can't let people see my
Did
hair.
you see it? That's
Yeah.
so many people.
Yeah.
You have any hats on? Well, yeah, they just ran from Amsterdam.
Yeah, it's so far. It's
Yeah.
so far. It's like 5
Yeah.
miles. Yeah. So it's a bit.
Well, yeah, they went back down to the South Street Seaport.
It's a bit of a hike. But it's you got to give credit to the haberdashery owners, the hat makers, for doing that. That's pretty cool that they would try and help out like that.
Take your money.
Well, yeah, fine. I mean, they're taking it anyway. You're buying a hat tomorrow.
The riots calmed down September 15th, not because of law and order, but because it was September 15th.
And like,
Duh.
we're done anyway.
Nobody wants to wear the hat on
Yeah,
September
We're
15th.
done.
And besides, nobody had any straw hats left in the city. They were all pretty much destroyed anyway. Even if you wanted to wear your hat in Manhattan, there was no hat to be worn. It was burned last night.
This is. I love this. I love this for its stupidity.
Yeah.
Like what a waste of everyone's goddamn day.
Street cleaners.
Oh, those poor guys.
They were working overtime.
Like, for God's sakes, my wife's gonna have me hit.
They were working
Oh.
overtime, complete, just cleaning up all of the burnt up
Yeah.
everything. And
You know there had to be someone in there. There had to be people in there like using this as an excuse to do something else. In these crowds are like thousands of people. You know, like other stores were being like they I guarantee you wherever they regrouped, my guess is close proximity to a saloon.
you are almost right.
First of all, I'm always right.
Well, you're almost right.
I've never made a mistake in my life.
We have to go back to Big
Oh,
Hat. In the
Okay.
aftermath of the riots, it was apparent that the majority of the hat smashing locations, remember when the people would be dispersed by
Yeah,
police
Sure.
and then come back at an area almost as if they that spot was predetermined?
Oh.
Well, it happens to be that all of those spots where they came back together were in very close proximity to hat makers and hat stores that happened to be open.
Oh, look at that. Goddamn Big Hat. Can't trust Big Hat.
It really might have been Big Hat the entire time. No formal investigation was ever made, but they did take money from victims of assault and men with naked heads.
Oh, those poor men.
The hooligans were probably bribed
Oh, the hooligans.
for these shenanigans.
Oh, hooligans and shenanigans. Oh, we got a wee bit going on here.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of the Straw Hat Riots of
Straw Hat
1922.
Riot.
And
Doo-doo.
it's actually called the Straw Hat Riot of 1922, as if there's been another
Yeah, do
Straw
these need
Hat
to be
Riot.
dated? I'm not sure if this is
I
something
hope it needs to be dated.
Oh my god.
I would love for times to be so good.
Yeah.
We can do this again in our future.
I don't know. It's got to be one of the stupidest riots in the history of mankind.
I'm sure they're stupider.
I mean, I guess every riot to some degree is
Yeah,
stupid.
I'm sure that they're stupid. It definitely wasn't for a cause.
No,
if that's what we're talking about.
Right. I mean, she's
they're really the end game in this was a prank at best.
Yeah.
And a prank at best, and bribery and
big hat.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
At worst.
I'm not supposed to have another fun fact here. This is actually the time period where we are starting to linguistically see a divide between people of different ages. Do you know that?
No cap.
Right. Like today, exactly. As the youngsters will say, no cap. I always tell people I enjoy doing this when my sons have their friends over. I'll come back. I'm like, hello, fellas. How's your day going? I hope you had a good day. No capping. I'll say the corniest.
You say it wrong.
Oh my gosh, yes. I refer to the YouTubes and the Snapchats, the snapping chats. I'll do anything I can just to make it. But this is the time. The 1920s is the time period, largely brought on by like movies and radio. Not only is it the first time where people nationally are speaking, using the same terms, listening to the same music, right? That's got to be a great uniting factor. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I remember that we had some words
We do have words
in high school, and jokes in high school that were
right
high school centric.
Sure.
And some kids would take it out to their neighborhood friends, but it would really just be school by school would have their own slang,
class by class, group of friends within group of friends.
What's crazy is now is it's everyone.
Well, that's and fads in the 1920s were crazy, right? Like flagpole sitting, which
we used to plank.
Well, you see, here's the thing.
That was the
I didn't plank, but I get what you're saying. Culturally, like people were planking the Macarena. You know what I mean? Remember,
throwing cheese on babies' faces.
That's such that drives me nuts. That's so mean.
We still do it today, though.
Oh my god, I don't get that. Like taping yourself doing it. Like it's like, hey everyone, I'm a terrible human being. Look at this. Look what I've done.
It really is mean.
It is so mean. But this is the time period where we start to see slang at a not only a regional level, but there's a divide between the age demographics. If you're younger, you spoke a certain way. You were really trying to make yourself stand out from your parents, and I think that's pretty cool. I think we speak differently than our parents, and then our children speak differently than us. And although I do think that the frequency that they change, their slang occurs at a much greater rate than the way we change our slang. Like I could still say rad.
You can't though.
I can.
I mean, you did, but
that was rad.
That's not very groovy.
Like if I said that, oh yeah, right. I still say groovy. Oh, that's groovy. Yeah, that's groovy.
Well, that's only because
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, Ash.
Yeah, Bruce Campbell. Right. Let's just do that. But yeah, there are some terms I always used to use when I taught lessons in the 1920s. I used Montgomery Burns, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, because he spoke in 20s kind of lingo.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, even down to the way he answered the phone.
Ahoy hoy,
which was what Thomas Edison suggested, which should be the greeting we use when we pick up the phone.
What a nerd.
Thomas Edison or me? Well, this is Nerds Night Out.
I guess.
Yeah, it's not Cool Guys Night Out.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well,
I'm bringing us up.
Yeah,
a couple notches. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't want to be up a couple notches. I love my nerdness. I spent a lot.
And I tolerate your nerdness.
You should accept, not tolerate. You should accept my nerdness. You tolerate like a cold. Like you tolerate a cold. I am not that. My nerdness is something to be celebrated.
I like your Walking Dead glass.
Thank you. There you go. It's got Daryl Dixon on it.
Watch your mouth. It's a family show.
Daryl Dixon's a character on the show.
Oh,
for God's sakes! You want to talk? You want to go through some?
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some 1920 slang, and some of them around. Some of them you still use. Bee's knees. That's pretty cool.
What's it mean?
There's someone who's stylish.
I knew it already.
Yeah, right.
That's a bee's knees.
Yeah. The cat's meow. Some of them we don't use so much anymore.
All right, to be on the nut.
Yeah, that one we don't use anymore.
Yeah, well,
to be on the nut.
You'd say something like,
yeah.
Can you spare a clam? I'm on the nut.
Yeah,
which means
yeah.
You got a buck. I'm broke.
Yeah, right. But those are words that today, in context, we're gonna bring up a totally different image. Cat's pajamas. You sometimes hear those. A flat tire. That's definitely one that's still around. Someone being a flat tire.
When you're all ducky.
You were all ducky. I don't. I guess
you're good. You're happy. You're fine.
Yeah, that's still.
How you doing, ducky?
I'm all ducky.
Just
I don't
ducky.
know. I get handcuff is terrible. Handcuff is 1920 slang for a wedding or an engagement ring.
I've heard that before.
As a handcuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't. That's a terrible way to look at a wedding ring.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
Giggle water.
Giggle water. That was alcohol.
Alcohol.
Right? Yeah. All right. See,
of any kind.
Fine. Fine.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be liquor. It's anything that'll make you giggle.
And I could see that. That kind of makes sense. Everything's Jake,
No, I don't know. What's
everything's Jake means like everything's cool. Everything's cool. That's everything's Jake.
To know your onions.
No, I see that one's dead.
I've heard that one, but it was at a prohibition museum.
Okay, yeah,
in Savannah, Georgia.
Right.
It means to know your stuff. So onions just mean stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
20 large. Like large. Like you still hear that around.
Brand?
Yeah, I guess it would just mean a lot of money, right? Probably grand. Yeah, 10 large would be like $10,000. Yeah, large is a grand. Yeah.
Jalopy.
Jalopy still used. Beat down jalopy. Like if you said
jalopy,
that to somebody, you said that to somebody. I'm driving some beat down jalopy. You kind of you picture exactly what it is. Out of the roof. That's a dead one. That's a dead one. That's not around.
No,
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. There's some drunk euphemisms that you can pretty much say anything. That's the great thing about it. Like you could say anything with drunk, and it still kind of works. Oh man, what's wrong with him? He's galloped, man. He's galloped. You know what I mean? Like you could kind of say that.
In context, you can figure a lot of things.
Right. You can just give any word a context.
I can watch those old timey movies, and I'll hear them say things, and I'll have no idea what they mean. Gonna go take care of Sam. Is he healed? Yeah. Like that mean that means is he strapped?
Oh no, I would never have that. Yeah, I would never have that.
Yeah.
You really do need some of the context to it, and it does help. But the Straw Hat Riots were definitely something that, even with context, is still
in context. It makes less sense.
Incomprehensible.
Out of context, it could make more sense, but in context, it was just ridiculi.
Ridiculi, plural. There are many things to be proud of if you're a New Yorker. We are home to so many great things, like L&B Pizza.
Oh, that's a good one, Spumoni.
Yeah. What else should we be proud of? New Park Pizza. There's a lot of things that New Yorkers should be proud of. Grimaldi's.
Is that another pizza place?
It is another pizza place. I'll change it up a little bit.
New Park.
I said New Park. That was the second one I hit. Leone's. You ever been to Leone's?
Never.
Leone's. Shout out to Leone's. Best damn sandwiches in Brooklyn. I swear by it.
I don't think Ray's exists anymore.
The Ray's what?
The original Ray's, yeah. That was on
original
6th Avenue, yeah.
There's the unoriginal Ray's.
There's so many unoriginal Ray's.
Yeah.
Joe's Pizza down in the Village, good one. Oh, okay. Artichoke slice, but that's I think that's a chain.
That's an acquired taste right there.
Artichoke?
Yeah.
Have you ever had one?
No.
It's like I think it's 1,050 calories per slice.
From what? The artichoke?
Oh, it's in the cream sauce.
Oh, okay. Good Lord.
That place has a
Jeez.
line going around the block on 14th Street.
It's not going to last. Everyone's going to be dead.
Like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh,
That
sure.
place has a line
Right.
going. It takes so long to get you sliced.
I wonder what people in small towns do when they get drunk. Because when we do, we have like places that are open to 4 in the morning.
Yeah, I think that's Domino's.
Insomnia cookies.
Those are college towns.
Yeah.
A lot of
They're around there.
College town thing.
Well,
if you're in a small enough town, you just got to wait until the store opens up Monday morning.
I will tell you, if you are coming to New York, don't judge us based on the Straw Hat Riots. We're good people.
Or SantaCon.
Do
not judge us on SantaCon.
Yes.
These people do not represent us. None of these people are actual New Yorkers.
Don't judge us.
They're all from Jersey and Long Island.
And we blame Newark, and that's it. We just blame Newark. That's it. Maybe Hoboken.
You say Hoboken?
Hoboken.
Hoboken. You made it sound Native American.
I thought I was going for more like what Ryu does in Street Fighter 2. Hoboken. No.
I still remember the code.
It's very well. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, now that you're not judging us based on the Straw Hat Riots, you're not judging us based on Domino's Pizza, you're not judging us based on what we do with our Oreo cookies when we're either stuffing or double stuffing
The
them.
single Oreo is the superior Oreo.
I think we could all agree on that.
Fight me.
Yes. And if you do know where I could get my hands on some Ninja Turtle pies, send us an email at nerdsNightOutPodcast@gmail.com, and I will buy and consume that delicious savory treat.
I was about to say that I'll put together a GoFundMe for enough money to talk you into consuming this, but since you just said you'll do it for free.
Wait, what?
Send me a rapper. This has been Nerds Night Out.
I'm Tom.
I'm Q.
And we're out.
Deuces, everybody.